Good morning, my friends. It's Tuesday morning, and this is Tyra Jarvis with Keffi Coaching and Transformation Tuesday. And I'm excited to be with you this morning and just share a little bit about what's kind of going on. And I come here every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Pacific time, to talk about mindset, motivation, and transformation. And this week, I've been grappling myself with the word inspiration and being inspired and inspiration. And for myself, it's to find ways for me to curate or develop my own content and what it's going to take for me to create the space for me to do that. And as luck would have it, everything kind of lines up in one space. So you want to get that inspiration is the process of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something, especially something creative. And it comes from within. And I've been doing a lot of comparing and contrasting between the motivations that come from within and the motivations that come from the outside. And actually, that is the definition of motivation. You know, motivation is the reason or the reasons why we might act or take on or behave a certain way. And so it's that whole inside, outside kind of thing. But what we're looking at inspiration, and I started thinking about what kinds of things inspire me and when do I feel that I've been the most inspired. And the thoughts that were coming up for me had to do with learning something new. One of my strengths from Strength Finder is learner. I love to learn new things and all the things that are associated with the process of that. I like webinars and going to conferences and listening to thought leaders and other experts and getting inspired by their experiences and the things that they want to share. But I also enjoyed going to school and, and studying and learning new things. And I enjoy reading books and new concepts and figuring out what that means for me. And I get a renewed sense of energy around that. I also love nature and getting back to nature. And for those of you that don't know it, I just returned from several days on Cape Cod. So I was by the beach. And you really get an appreciation for how nature sustains itself and how the tide goes out and the tide comes in and there's a normalcy, and you can get inspired by how easy and how effortless nature is. And is there a way to incorporate some of that ease and grace and beauty into my life, into your life, and to find a way to possibly do that? And so nature's really big. And then I'm really inspired by courage and other people that have demonstrated courage. And I would say that at the times in my life when I've demonstrated the most courage would be, when I went and did something that I'd never done before, when I relocated for a job or took a new job and I didn't know any of the people. And I used to say, I'm going to go someplace, do something I've never done before with people that I've never met. And anyway, so you get the gist that it was really pushing comfort zone and looking at things that whole adventure of doing something different and the courage that it took to confront maybe fear or anxiety or not knowing what to do and that uncertainty and unknown. But the biggest life-defining, courageous moment for me was when I was the caregiver for my husband in his terminal battle with cancer. And every day being in the present and having to confront that uncertainty and yet wanting to live every moment that you could really did take some courage, so that I know that I've done it in the past and I know that I can do it again for sure. And I would say the same for you. And then when I look to people that have either transformed themselves or demonstrated courage, and it could be someone that's overcome obstacles or whatever, but Prince Harry comes to mind for me right now because I watched a documentary on the royals, and I love to follow those kinds of stories myself personally. They're relaxing for me and they're fun. but they credit him for his transformation because he was really struggling, and we all know his life story. And he found a real space in the military and in the British Army to be able to feel somewhat normal. And then what he did with that was start the Invictus Games. And he was going the wrong way and was really able to turn himself around. I could say the same thing about my father. My father said the same thing, that he wanted to be known as someone that was going the wrong way and turned himself around. And my father had some issues in his past and not a lot of opportunity, and got himself into some trouble and finished out his life in the way that he wanted to. And so for you, you want to look at what are the things that inspire you and how do you tap into that? And for me, the reason it's important right now is it's November 3rd. Yes, we have, a very important election, so that's kind of heavy and looming on the minds of most American citizens for sure. But it's also, daylight savings time, and the days are shorter and it's darker, and the pandemic is continuing on, and the uncertainty around that. And I'll be honest with you, it's very easy to be down, even depressed, sad, frustrated, whatever, hopeless, whatever that might be for you. And so how do you find inspiration when it's got to come from within, and the within you is down and depressed? And sure enough, this morning's Darren Daily, I subscribe to Darren Daily. It's a daily actually, opt-in from Darren Hardy, who's the former success of CEO Magazine, former CEO of Success Magazine. And this morning's was so perfect. So I would encourage you to at least listen to today's. It was titled, Why You Can Never Give Up Hope. And he starts with the story of the lone survivor of a shipwreck who manages to find his way to a deserted island. And I'm visualizing Tom Hanks and Castaway, of course, but he's by himself, and he has a daily routine where he walks around the island collecting, foraging for food, looking for ships or airplanes or anybody that can kind of rescue him. He's alone, he's isolated, he's sad, depressed, feeling frustrated, feeling hopeless. But he's still looking and he's still searching. So every day he travels around this deserted island and he's gathering up stuff. And he has enough where he's kept a small fire where he can cook and keep himself warm. And now he's gathered up enough materials that he can actually build a hut to protect himself. But he still keeps going around the island. And he's looking and he's searching for obviously a ship in the area, a plane. He's looking to be rescued still, and he doesn't find anything. And when he gets back to his camp, if you will, the wind has blown some timbers or some embers from the fire into his hut and burned up his hut. And now his hut is casting billowing smoke up into the sky, and he's completely dejected. He's completely feeling hopeless, and he just, passes out in exhaustion, and he wakes up the next morning to see a ship offshore and a rescue boat coming his way. And so when he gets on board the ship, he asks the captain, he goes, "What caused you to stop here? I've been looking for months and no one has ever been on this pathway to even see this island." He goes, "Oh, we saw your smoke." So the message was, when you feel the most hopeless, that's when hope shows up, or that's when the opportunity shows up. And that may be where your inspiration is, and that may be where my inspiration is. And so I would encourage you, and the call to action in the Darren Daily was to look into your life, look into the past, look at those times in your life when you felt the most lost, the most dejected, the most maybe disappointed, the most depressed, sad, whatever that was, the most hopeless. And what became of that? How did it turn out? And, for myself, what I would share is that it causes me to think of a couple of relationships in my past. When I made the very difficult decision to end my first marriage, how would I ever live beyond that? I mean, this family was so important to me. But the marriage wasn't working, and it wasn't, in my mind at that young age, repairable. And so what was it? But sure enough, time rolls on, and beyond that, there were other relationships. And then there was another relationship in my life where I stayed way too long in a very unhealthy relationship. And again, I never thought about what would come after that. And as low as I was in that relationship, when I had the courage enough to leave, despite uncertainty and not being comfortable, I was able to actually pull together the life that I have now and meet my second husband and had an amazing life there. And what I would tell you is at the lowest that I've been at the time since my husband's passing, I know that there will be another bright side, and there still is every day. I live a bright side as a result of that experience. So for you, maybe you were fired from a job, and what did you do to turn that around? I was never fired, but I left a job, and I've turned that around. So for you, what was it that you maybe felt your lowest and you felt hopeless? And what did you do to turn that around? And what inspired you to do that? And just look for that, dig deep for that, and see if you can motivate yourself from that inspiration that you might find. So for me, this was really thought-provoking, and I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that it meant something for you. And I think inspiration is going to be what's going to be required to move on today after the election results, regardless of what the results are. It's going to take some inspiration, and it's going to take inspiration to continue to persevere through the pandemic and the uncertainty and where we are with, being prudent and safe and taking care of ourselves and others from the virus. And so with that, I'm going to wrap this for now. And what I would tell you is stay well and tune back next Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific time for Transformation Tuesday. And we'll see what else shows up around mindset, motivation, and transformation. And hope you have an amazing day and amazing rest of the week. And again, stay well. Take care. Bye-bye, my friends.